In the history of football, there have been many hard men, thuggish players who protect their teammates and look to break down the opposition by any means necessary. Roy Keane, Vinnie Jones, Neil Ruddock, and Martin Keown are great examples and were formidable players who struck fear into the hearts of opponents and teammates alike. However, none of them could even compete with Jusuf Hatunic, the man who was called Kostolomak, aka Bone Breaker. But how did Hatunic become so feared, and why is he by far the most menacing hard man in the history of football? Massive shout out to Milos for the idea of this video, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Jusuf Hatunic was born in Dubrovnika, in what was then known as the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. When he was young, Hatunic played for the regional football club FK Željezničar Dubrovnika and showed exceptional defensive qualities very early on. At the age of 19, he went to then Yugoslav First Division club FK Sloboda Tuzla. Although he was still a teenager, he was one of the most physically strong players in the league at the time, deputizing as either a defensive or center midfielder. While he would go on to make 133 appearances for the club, win a Yugoslav First Division title, and win his first caps for Yugoslavia, his most infamous moment was when Sloboda Tuzla faced Serbian giants Partizan Belgrade in 1974. When Hatunic had the ball, young player Zoran Rakic went after him and wanted to take it away from him at all costs. As the two players were going for the ball, Hatunic lunged in for a challenge, and there was a collision, with Rakic coming out on the losing end, with his leg completely broken. They say that the cracking of his leg was heard even in the stands. The press ridiculed Hatunic. Sources published headlines such as, "Hatunic broke the leg of young footballer Rakic." Journalist Rad Stojanovic of the Belgrade daily newspaper Politika wrote, "In the 31st minute, Hatunic intentionally broke the leg of Partizan's Rakic with a rough, dangerous challenge, with the journalist even calling Hatunic a bully." Rakic's injury was so bad that he never recovered from that injury and subsequently never played football again. The disciplinary court punished Hatunic with a 1-year ban from playing football, even though he didn't even receive a yellow card in the match. To say Partizan Belgrade fans hated him was an understatement. To them, Hatunic was public enemy number 1. For as tough as Hatunic was, he was understandably hurt by this, saying, "That is certainly the worst period in my life. There is no such insult or derogatory nickname that people did not call me during those months." Even in Tuzla, where Partizan have many fans, it is the most horrible court that exists. The public court that I was exposed to, the most terrible punishment, the bloodiest. I wished a million times that someone had broken my leg. I had to hide when I was walking because insults were coming from all sides. However, in an interesting twist of fate, Hatunic would sign for Partizan Belgrade. Led by manager Ante Milanovic, Hatunic joined a strong squad. However, he still wasn't forgiven by supporters. But all would be forgotten as Hatunic became a fan favorite due to his combativeness and self-sacrifice, even being nicknamed Musa. In truth, Hatunic was a hard man who played in the perfect era of football for 2 main reasons. The first was that he was an alcoholic. No, I'm not kidding, he actually was an alcoholic. It was said by his teammates that his favorite things were life, football, and alcohol. When his teammates went for training, he would go to the bars instead. Nowadays, with a rapid rise of professionalism, sports science, and dieting in the modern era of football, a drinker such as him would not be tolerated. The same could be said of George Best, Johan Cruyff, and Jose Manuel Moreno. The second is that he was a thug in every sense of the term. About 6'6" tall and weighing over 220 pounds, it was not pleasant to see him, let alone play against him. While he lacked serious technical ability, what he made up for in talent, passing vision, or creativity, he more than made up for it with his sheer size and physique. Essentially Gennaro Gattuso on steroids, Hatunic was a tough-tackling, aggressive, and terrifying footballer to play against. He was described by opponents as being made of rubber and having the strength for American basketball. not soccer. According to former Sloboda Tuzla teammate Josep Duvancic, he was like a center forward. He had unbelievable strength and was a true bone breaker. He would eat a whole pan of baklava. Hatunic was essentially like a steamroller in the league, tough as nails with tree trunks for legs. While he played in Tuzla and for Partizan, he also worked at a factory. He would play barefoot, and instead of using a normal football, he would use a rock. My goodness, how did he not break his foot? Hatunic also had a ferocious appetite for defending. No one wanted to get into a duel with him. Everyone was too scared. It was said that either the ball or the player could pass by the late Hatunic. Never both. He broke former Yugoslav midfielder Gazem Yayala's back just by running into him, which sidelined him for 6 months. But despite his playing style and his image, he was a fantastic player and an even better leader. Former Red Star Belgrade forward Stanislav Karasi described Jusuf Hatunic as a great man who spared no one on the field, even being very disappointed that he came to Partizan instead of Red Star. It was mostly the media that twisted the perception of Hatunic, making him out to be a brute rather than a great player. The audience forgave me, but the press mostly never. The press broke all my bones, they cut me into pieces, called me a brute, a thug, and even a criminal. In truth, he was an idol to the fans and became the defensive leader of the team. In the 1977-78 season, Hatunic captained the club to the Yugoslav First Division title, conceding only 19 goals. In 1978, Hatunic transferred to Turkish giant Galatasaray, making only 4 appearances. A move back to Partizan followed before being sold to FK Rad, who competed in the Yugoslav Second Division at the time. He retired in 1983 at the age of only 33. Tragically, Hatunic was found dead in Belgrade on May 11, 1991. The cause of death is unknown. Hatunic, in a sense, was an icon to the fans and has been described as a legendary player by former Yugoslav players. What he lacked in technical ability, passing, and trickery, he more than made up for in chaos. From breaking an opponent's leg to sending others to the hospital effortlessly. The former Yugoslav international was a physical, defensive wall that was unforgiving. He makes Roy Keane and Vinnie Jones look like saints, which surely must make him the most feared hardman in history.